Welcome to the Pit Wall Panic Podcast. We have Alan back with us, and he is planning on being a more regular person on the podcast again. And we can look forward to seeing him. And we have a few others that will be in rotation with us as well to hopefully bring y'all some better discussion instead of just me talking to you and you yelling at me in the comments. But that being said, we'll go ahead. I'll do our whole social media plug real quick. And, um, if you're on Twitch, obviously you're here. Give us a follow. YouTube, if you're watching, give us subscribe. It's free. It helps us out. If you're on TikTok, give us a follow over there. And also on X. We're on most of the main social media platforms. And we would love the support and the help in growing this community. And then don't forget, if you just enjoy talking F1 and you want to come make fun of us in person, you can join the Discord server. And there's a lot of chaos that happens over there, but it's a fun kind of chaos, not a what in the world is going on chaos. That being said, welcome into the podcast. How's it going, Alan?
It's going. Oh, my leg itches, sorry.
Uh,
Oh, man.
This week, we got I'd say some pretty interesting news. Wouldn't you say so? A lot of madness.
Oh, yeah. This week was crazy.
And it's hard to say where to start. A lot of protesting and challenging going on. We had Red Bull is challenging the ADO findings, which I kind of can't blame them. And then we had Alpine challenging the penalties for Pierre Gasly, and now there's rumors. I say rumors. There's discussion that McLaren and Red Bull are going to protest the reversal of Pierre Gasly's penalties. So there's a whole lot of madness going on, and it just seems like a bunch of children bickering, and it's kind of funny. But I guess let's start off with the ADO findings. Red Bull was determined that they were the benchmark, and the fastest power unit on the grid, meaning that both Mercedes and Ferrari will be getting upgrades because Mercedes is supposedly 2% behind and Ferrari is 6 to 8% behind. And this is not the official yet because of Red Bull protesting. They haven't announced the official findings yet because the FIA is going to look into it. Now, that is huge because Ferrari gets 2 upgrades. And the other side of that is how bad is that Red Bull that you have the strongest power unit, powertrain, and suck as bad as they do.
Yeah.
It's apparently a supercharged potato. I mean,
it's a hamster on steroids.
And I think there's something to be said about the car still because look at Hadjar's drive today. He didn't look like he was driving the worst car on the grid. But
no.
It's not keeping up with Mercedes on a regular basis. It did in Monaco, but Monaco is a slow speed map. Not map. I'm sorry, I've been watching Counter-Strike today. Track. There we go. Words. It's a slow speed track, so it's hard to be like, oh, you just were zooming. No, it's one of those things I don't know. A lot of people looked good, and then you had a lot of people that looked really bad there, but I don't know. I just don't know how to feel about this. What do you think about it?
I mean, yeah, it kind of proves that the car is it's a bad car. If you're technically the strongest engine, but you're still behind 3 other teams,
drastically behind.
The car,
it's not like you're in the fight.
Drastically, yeah. You clearly have something wrong with the car, especially if even Max can't bring it up to, really battle against them.
Yeah, and we saw how bad that car was last year, and it was absolutely insane. And Max won out the last 6 races of the season, last 5 races of the season last year, and this year the only time he's looked like he could win a race was Monaco, and then the car failed him. You know, Hadjar was in for the podium at Australia, and then the engine failed him. So I mean, like every time they start to put something together, the car just decides not today. So it's just, it's either the reliability sucks, or you just can't get the car around the track. Like, even thinking about today, where was Max at?
Yeah, I think in his interview he said he was by himself the whole time. He
Like,
couldn't catch up to anybody, but he also was too fast for other people.
yeah,
So
and that's the thing is like he wasn't exactly getting caught by Charles. Charles was catching up, but he also wasn't exactly hawking down Lando either.
yeah,
And I think the only time we really saw Max was when they were showing Charles's POV and he was coming up on him. I don't know. It's weird watching an F1 race and not hearing about Max. Not complaining, because, it's nice to have it mixed up, but it's just weird.
yeah.
Now, how much do you think it's going to impact that we're going to get Ferrari with 2 upgrades and Mercedes is only going to get 1 if this stands?
You know, um, I don't know. I feel like it might push Ferrari to being the fastest car.
I'm honestly, and we'll get into this more in a little bit, but I'd borderline question that now after the upgrades they brought to Barcelona, at least until Mercedes brings something to answer. Because
Mm-mm.
Lewis was 20 seconds ahead of George at the end.
Yeah, but
And he did an extra pit stop.
I guess yeah, because thinking about it, you know, I'm sure the soft tires fell off pretty quick for Lewis at the start.
Yeah, no,
So, and he was still able to clear um Kimmy, and I mean George just had clean air, so
also, SJ has joined us. He does not have a camera going this time, but he is here. If he can say something. There we go. Go ahead. We can hear you.
There we go.
Can you
Carry
hear
on.
us?
Yeah, I can hear you.
All right, all right, all
I'll let
right.
your mic carry on.
So, what were you saying, Alan? Or was that it?
I don't know. That was it.
So, like, I don't know. I feel like the upgrades that Ferrari has brought, and this isn't even including engine upgrades yet, Lewis is about to be lethal. And I feel like I'm already choking on the words that I told SJ last week that Charles would still outdo Lewis this year because he looked fantastic. So I think when we start seeing these ADUO engine upgrades, it's just going to make the Ferrari even more lethal. And the downside, though, is like we were talking about Red Bull being the number 1 power unit, you're going to have McLaren get an engine upgrade because they're on a Mercedes power unit. You're going to get, obviously, Mercedes. Ferrari's going to get 2. Alpine's going to get 1. And they're right behind them. Red Bull's really about to tumble.
I don't know that they'll tumble enough though. I don't think this is gonna magically put Alpine ahead of them.
You don't think so? I mean,
I just sorry, Franco's not good enough.
oh,
Um,
Franco hate.
yeah.
He's looked so good though.
He's looked better.
He's been out doing Gasly every week.
I don't think so.
He outqualified him, and the only reason why
Okay,
Gasly got
hold on,
around
hold
him
on.
is because they pulled team orders.
Yeah, but then but then he cleared Franco by like 2.5 seconds within a couple laps.
That's fair. What do you think, SJ?
Like,
I think the main thing is I think we need to steady on about obviously our domination and stuff because Lewis Hamilton hasn't won a race in Ferrari at all, and we're what
He
8
won it
rounds in?
today. He won it today.
Yeah, I know.
Oh,
First race, first race. So we need to steady on. It was like if you look at the race in itself, right? Mercedes obviously had the upper hand, and due to obviously the 3 stop that Hamilton decided to go, but you got to take into account the VSC was a big help on that because that pushed his gap from like 13, 15 to nearly 22 seconds, which mainly basically he's going to come out, and if there was a safety car, he would have been on fresher tires. And we saw that Lewis Hamilton the whole race was quicker on the hards compared to obviously the Mercedes. But then we saw the Mercedes go back to what they did at Canada, start battling again. So I feel that in a way, because Russell needed to keep Antonelli behind within that second to try and pull away from the Ferraris, I still think the Mercedes still have the advantage. But with the confidence that Hamilton has had in the last few races compared to Charles, his last 2 races, I think Hamilton will be one to watch out for. But let's not swing from the chandeliers. It's one race he's won all season.
no, and I get that. I mean, as far as like, what do you think about Red Bull tumbling down, possibly even behind Alpine?
No, no. I thought
Oh,
Hadjar had a bit of a, no, I don't think so. No, I think Red Bull had a bit of an issue, obviously with Hadjar at the beginning, but for Max to still finish fourth with, we could probably say a slow car, and it wasn't going to compete because he obviously decided to keep 2 fresh mediums, which did help to an extent, but end of the day, he was still fourth, and he would have probably finished fifth if Anthony would have finished the race. But the beauty with Red Bull at the moment is they do have that consistency to be in the top 5. Yes, Alpine are there at somewhat, but they're still ninth and eighth, and Red Bull are still scoring extra points. But wait for the upgrades to come through to Red Bull, and I think you'll see Max back on the podium.
I just think about, you look at last week and how Gasly looked at Monaco, and you think about how Colapinto looked the week before. I say week before, 2 weeks before that. If they figure out to make this Alpine consistent, because they were talking about they were having issues more so with the car and its balance this weekend, I feel like the Alpine could be dangerous, especially once they get an engine upgrade. That's all. That's
Yeah,
what I'm
definitely.
saying.
Ferrari came through with 8 upgrades in that race, and you could see that they got some pure pace. But at the moment, it's a strength for one driver and a weakness for other. Leclerc is not in a good spirit. He's going the same way as probably Russell done in the last few races. The DNF, which was unfortunate, the DNF in qualifying, last week and obviously Monaco as well. So he needs to bounce back from Austria because I told you last week, Hamilton is going to outscore Leclerc this season without a doubt.
Yeah. I know, and it hurts my feelings, but I'm kind of agreeing with you right now until. And well, let me rephrase that. I don't think Charles looked bad today. Obviously, he made up 4 positions, and the car decided it was just the power steering was not going to be there. So like he can't help a car failure. I think that's hurt him, and the way Lewis is racing, the point deficit is too big, and uh, it's at a point to where he has to get it together, or it's out of luck. Now, as far as the Pierre Gasly stuff goes, what do y'all think about the FIA overturning that penalty or those penalties? 1 second, guys. Y'all can
I'm
talk
fine.
about that. I got to deal with my child for 1 second.
I think it's okay. I mean, the reasoning behind the penalties even being applied was kind of crazy.
Does it set a precedence though? Does it now start setting a precedence that every team is going to appeal every single penalty every week?
No, I don't. It shouldn't, because it was, I guess, an error on their end for the way that the sensors were reading where the cars were.
Okay, but then if you then look at the situation with that, if that's an error, then why didn't Mercedes appeal Russell's?
Well,
Because then again, he wouldn't have then had the 5-second speed in the pit lane, right? Then that would have been removed, and then maybe his drive-through would have been removed, and he would have been reinstated.
the reason they can't is because the penalties have already been served. In the rules, you can petition, but you cannot petition something that's already been served. So, with Oscar, they can't petition to have it changed because he already served it. Same thing with George. He served his, so they can't be overturned. Literally, the only person that could pull that off was Gasly because he did not serve his penalties. And, at first everybody was like, Alpine should have told him, Alpine should have had him do this, Alpine should have had him do that. But I think deep down they knew everything was off then, and that's why they didn't have him serve them. And then they used that to their advantage. It was one of those big brain moves by Alpine that in the moment looked absolutely foolish and stupid. And if it fails them, they're, well, why'd you do this? But when it pays off, you look like a hero. Does that make sense?
Yep.
And I applaud Alpine for it. And the FIA is just following it by the rule book. I know a lot of people are upset because George got screwed and Oscar got screwed. But by the rules, technically, it's the right call. Am I wrong?
No.
And so, like, I can understand them being upset because they got burned by a faulty system. But even the announcers called mid-race, like, this has to be something wrong. So if the announcers can tell, the engineers can tell. Why would you make them serve it if you know the rules and just petition later? Am I wrong? Like, would that not make sense?
Yep.
What you thinking, Alan?
I mean, I agree.
I think they're acting kind of childish, and that doesn't surprise me coming from Zach Brown because he's a giant man child. Red Bull's always going to act like that, but I feel like they're the only ones that really have a right to act that way because it stripped Hadjar from a podium. And it wasn't like, oh, I served a penalty and now it's getting pulled from me. It's I want to fight this because our guy's getting a podium pulled from him. I'm not fighting because our penalty didn't get overturned. Does that make sense? So, like, for them, it makes more sense. McLaren is just, you're being a big baby. Even Toto isn't arguing it for George that I'm aware of.
No, I don't think he is either.
So, like, Zach just needs to grow up and move on. They have other issues to worry about, like the car staying on track. How many DNFs has McLaren had this season?
Let's talk about the did not start.
That too. Like, but that's my point. And so, like, I feel like Monaco is going to become the new 2021 Abu Dhabi at this point. You're going to have the George Russell fans that are like, oh, but if this had happened, he would have been this, that, and the third and had more points. And Kimmy's DNF, he would have been closer. It's going to spiral like that. Everybody's already trying to say that they're sabotaging George. And that narrative is going to do more damage to the sport than anything. And I'm so tired of it. Just because your favorite driver had something bad happen to him does not mean he's being sabotaged. The same crap happened when Oscar got beat by Lando.
Oh, they don't. One of them didn't look on the pace at all. Piastri just didn't. I didn't even think he was going to get to the end of the race, to be honest with you. He just was in no man's land.
Oh, no. I'm talking people did the same thing last season, saying that Oscar got sabotaged to lose the championship to Lando. And now people are saying, oh, George is being sabotaged so that Kimmy can win. And I'm just tired of that narrative. It's ridiculous. Oh yeah, well that's true.
There's a big conspiracy. There's a big factor behind McLaren because Lando's father is the funder of McLaren with all the money, and he did state to Zach Brown that he wanted his son to win a championship. Didn't say when, but he did say he wanted to win a championship. All of a sudden, Piastri starts having problems. Baku, Mexico, Coda. and then all of a sudden they bring 146 point gap from Max Verstappen to 12 on the final race.
Yeah, that's fair.
Coincidence?
I mean, it's possible. Anything can happen. We're talking about cars that are the smallest
You
little
can't.
thing, and it's completely off balance and almost undrivable.
You cannot allow a 4-time world champion to come back from a 146-point deficit. No way, in any shape or form.
Which
You
also,
know, that is just ridiculous.
in our earlier episodes, I think it might have been 2 or 3 that we were talking about this. The McLaren strategy last season was just atrocious, and they're carrying it into this season too, which is sad. But you know, like
They don't have the car.
yeah,
They don't currently have the car. They are third place behind Mercedes, Ferrari, without a doubt. You know, they are the third car. And then probably pretty close to them is then Red Bull, and then behind them is Alpine.
It's funny that you say that because I made a comment about that on, I think, Twitter, X, whatever you want to call it, earlier this week. I think it was Friday night, and somebody said, you know, I would argue that McLaren's got the second fastest car. How?
No.
In what universe?
Yeah, like what? That's not even no.
Like McLaren.
There's no doubt they have the third car.
Well, apparently, if Red Bull can figure out their aerodynamics and chassis, they might have the better car. But like McLaren's just looks bad this year, and there's no way around that. It's just what it is.
I will say Lando's 100% out driving that car though.
Oh, I agree. I agree.
Yeah, I agree. I do agree.
Because you look at how bad Oscar is doing. Either Oscar can't drive, which I don't think that's the case.
True.
Or Lando is pulling more out of that car than it should be had. Because why would one be in third place and one Oscar finished what, 6th? Or did he finish 5th?
Yeah. I believe it was 6th.
It was 6th, I think. And that means he
was 5th.
That means he was 7th place until Kimi and Charles DNF'd. So how do you have one that's fighting for a podium and one that's just fighting to stay in the points, basically? Like, make that make sense.
Yeah, it's kind of wild. And I think for Lando, the main reason is just because the weight of fighting for a title is off his shoulders now.
Yeah, that's fair. There's no expectation anymore. Like, he's not having to push that. He's already proven that.
Yeah, he's already done it. So, you know, some people want to go for a second. Some people don't. They're happy with one. Having that championship title above their name is an accolade in itself.
Well,
but I think the one thing I'm seeing this season is it's not 2 drivers. Obviously, there's a few, but it's not just 2 drivers that are outstanding. So if you look at Mercedes, you've got Antonelli that's won 4. He needed to have a bit of a learning curve, which he had at Spain. You then got
5.
Yeah. Okay.
5. Sorry. You then got Russell, who who's had his issues, but then had a very, very strong showing at
Australia,
at Spain. You then got Ferrari. You've had Leclerc started, and then you've now got Hamilton that's now finishing off, getting his first win. You then got Max, who had a very, very good start, sort of, for a period of time, then dipped off, and then had his issues at Monaco. Hadjar then obviously had a podium, but that was taken away from him. He's been quite good. And then you then got Alpine, who probably you'd say Gasly is probably outdoing Colapinto, just. And then you go down the pecking order, and then you've got different drivers. You've got different drivers that are outweighing their teammate, which is really exciting to see, because next week in Austria, you're going to see, well, who's going to outdo what? That's the favourite Red Bull track for them. Are they going to be good there? At the moment, from what you've seen, probably not. It's probably going to be another Mercedes and Ferrari, but what can McLaren come up with next week? So it's up and down each week, but at the moment you would definitely say it's advantage Mercedes for constructors and the two titles between obviously Antonelli and Russell.
I might be a little delusional because I'm a Ferrari fan, but after today, if they continue this pace, and then Mercedes continues to have the reliability issues they're having, we might see Ferrari sneak back into the fight a little bit closer. As long as they can
But I
get
still
both
think it's
cars to
early.
finish.
I still think it's too early. I don't know what the well, I'm trying to think of what's his name. Sorry,
I
I don't know what
think
Maximus thinks.
constructors is going to come down between Ferrari or Mercedes at the end of the day.
I think Mercedes are going to wipe it personally.
I don't know. They've had
I
so
don't
many
think so. I
issues.
think Mercedes is like a shoe in for the constructors.
Okay, but everybody said that about George too, and look where he's at.
No, that's different though. This is that no, because that comes down to driver skill in itself. But like when you have two good drivers like Kimmy and George in the fastest car,
Yeah.
I mean, theoretically, they should. Okay, let me rephrase this. They should win it, but the form that Lewis is putting on now makes me wonder if he can pull a rabbit out of the hat situation, and if Charles can just hang on along for the ride, and we can see a 1-3 or a 1-2 out of them, a few races. We have a couple DNFs. I mean, it's the way these Mercedes engines are dropping left and right. It's very possible they have more DNFs. It's very possible that we see Ferrari get back in this.
I think anyone is. I think it's anyone. I think it's still too early to tell. I think if you see Lewis outperform Mercedes next week, then I think we'll have to start having a talking conversation and a talking point of it. I think it's still early days, and I think with the pure dominance of Antonelli, which has been a few issues with obviously George's car, not due to him. I think, and obviously with the DNF that Mercedes received, in Spain, that's a big one, and they were lucky that Ferrari didn't finish as well. Leclerc had 4 laps to finish the race, and unfortunately, didn't happen.
Yeah.
And same thing with Antonelli. So it's it's basically 1-1 to Mercedes and Ferrari because both cars finished. One finished obviously higher than the other. So I think Austria will be a talking point to see because it's a great track. Going to be interesting to see what the weather's going to be there, and who's going to have the setup because that is Red Bull's fan favorite.
I think also Austria is the closest thing track-wise similarities to Australia that we have seen since Australia, which is where George was the only place George has won this season. So,
Max
what could happen there? No, I agree. Max is good at Austria, but how much is that Red Bull going to hold him back is the question. George has one of the most dominant cars on the track right now, and he just won Australia, which is the closest thing that we have seen to Austria thus far this season. So could he pull off Austria? I don't know. Could Lewis pull off Austria? I don't know. Could Kimi do it? I mean, it's going to be either George, Kimi, Lewis, or maybe Charles squeaks in there since he's got the same car as Lewis.
I don't know that I would give it to Ferrari because Ferrari's made it very clear that they struggle on the straights.
Well,
and Austria's a good bit of straights.
Well, what I mean by that,
were you surprised to not see Hamilton pip Antonelli at turn 1 at Spain?
Yeah, that was
yeah
interesting
because they've got they've already said that they've got like a rocket ship off the straight, off the start, and I was saying to my wife at the same time, I said I don't think the Mercedes is going to get in take the lead into turn 1. I think Hamilton's got it. Now then it was just about basically being Hamilton trying to stay out in front, which the problem is at the moment they can't do that. They can beat the Mercedes in the straight line, fair enough, but cornering and everything else, the Mercedes outweighs the Ferrari. Now I was very surprised to not see a Ferrari leading that turn 1 in Spain, even though it was a very, very clean start, especially on that corner which goes into a right and then into a left and then it hoops round onto the right, which we saw earlier on Russell and Antonelli going at it. But if I'm a betting man, I'm thinking Ferrari are going to pip it every time off the start if they're P2 or even P3. So what were your thoughts when you saw the Mercedes still leading going into turn 1?
Me personally, I think Hamilton just didn't have a great start.
Yeah, I kind of agree with that. I don't think he had a start like we have seen. He's had some really good starts this season, and this wasn't a bad start, but it wasn't a start like we've been seeing out of Charles and Lewis.
It was like it was an average start.
Yeah, that's
maybe
kind
a
of
little
where I was
worse.
going with that. Because look at Charles. Charles made up 3 positions off the start.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Lewis, I mean, was fighting to stay ahead of Kimmy.
Yeah, and I was saying this earlier. I think what saved Lewis on the start was being on softs.
Probably. Add more grip.
Yeah.
I think Austria will be a different beast because you've got the turn 1 and then you've got the long straight, and we saw what happened last time.
But
And
also,
they took up Max.
Barcelona is a higher speed track, and as far as like compared to Monaco, for example, and Lewis pulled a 20-second gap. I know I've already said that he pulled a 20-second gap on George. Do you think the compression test is actually making a difference? I said last week you couldn't really tell in Monaco because Monaco is such a slow track. It's hard to be like, oh, yeah, you're not pulling full performance of your engine because nobody is. Do you think at a track like Barcelona can actually go, okay, yeah, this is actually making a difference?
Yeah, 100%.
So does that mean that that might have been what held him back to keeping up with Lewis at the end? That and the fact that Lewis was also on fresher tires than George. But even before they pitted, George just couldn't keep up with Lewis.
Yeah. I think that's what's becoming an issue is the compression.
And people are going to say, well, it's only a 2-point difference going from an 18-1 to a 16-1 ratio. If you know anything about engines, that is a major difference when it comes to racing. And I honestly think that's going to hold them back quite a bit. Personally, I could be wrong. And I think that might be why we've seen McLaren struggle, and we've seen Williams. Well, Williams is just a whole nightmare of a show right now. But like that might be why we're seeing such a struggle out of McLaren. They don't have that workaround to have that 18-1 compression ratio like Mercedes has had, and so they're dealing with a true engine and the most raw form of its ability, and that's why they have struggled so bad. So I'm wondering if we're going to start seeing that out of Mercedes because they didn't look like the same Mercedes at Barcelona. Would you agree?
I don't know. I think the upgrades make a big difference, and I think Ferrari came. They came with ammunition, and you could see that car. For Hamilton was a far superior car. Do you take into account the VSC would have changed things? Does it change things if there's a safety car? Then George goes on to a different set of tyres, and then we might have a bit of a fight near the end. So there was a lot of things that could have changed in the dynamics of the last 5-6 laps.
I don't think the VSC changed anything, honestly. It just made it to where it was less of a fight. I think Lewis was always going to win it with the pace that he had there at the end.
I think it made him have a bit more of a gap to Russell because when he pitted onto the fresh tyres, literally he came out right in front, and Russell was already on 5-lap tyres anyway.
Okay, let me rephrase that. I think it would have made it to where he would have had to fight to get back to the front, but I think Lewis still would have done it. At that point, he was far better pace-wise than any other car on the track.
Oh, yeah, you could see when he was having the pace on the hards and he was catching the Mercs, I think, for 3-stop when they then said that they were going to plan C. I just think it was a masterclass for Ferrari. I think the engineer, everything in that race from Lewis just went strength to strength. I think the icing on the cake was obviously the VSC, which then made him have even a bigger gap. And I just think it was going to be impossible.
Yeah, I agree with that.
For the Mercedes, because then obviously you had the 2 Mercedes, right? Charles was obviously second at the time. Charles really couldn't hold up the Mercedes. He went around the outside like easy, and that's what they didn't want. Then Charles decided to pit. right, then Hamilton was just basically out in front already, right? But then you had the two Mercedes. They then started battling, which then when Hamilton hit, he pulled I think it was a 9-second to a 6-second within 4 laps.
Yeah.
He was flying, but they were battling. And I think that Russell was trying to keep Antonelli in that second for that, that boost mode. And I think what the problem was, Antonelli was the quicker car, and Russell needed to hold on to that position to have the priority going into the pits. But then after that, Hamilton was catching too quickly. So when they decided to pit, they were never going to catch him.
Yeah. No, I can see that.
A bit of an issue there, I think. I think Mercedes got it wrong.
What do you think, Alan?
Hold on.
Bills are turning to see it in his eyes.
No, I'm doing something else.
While he's thinking, we'll come back to you in a second while you're doing that. I feel like this season is turning into the battle of the DNFs. And what I mean by that, it's like, it's rolling the dice. Are you going to be the one that DNFs this week? Because I think at this point, every single team has had at least one DNF. That's due to car failure. Not even like, I know Charles wrecked in Monaco and so did, and I guess technically that was due to technical failure also. But like Lance Stroll today had a gearbox go out on like lap 6 or 7.
Oh, gosh.
Bottas had engine problems, so they had to pit the car so they didn't damage the engine even further. Hulkenberg. Okay, now Hulkenberg's, I'm not going to say that was car failure, but I don't think that could ever happen again. Did you hear about what happened with Hulkenberg, SJ?
Yeah, I did. Yeah, I felt sorry for him.
So
that was definitely P10 on the board.
For those that don't know, Lawson threw gravel up, and somehow, I don't even understand how this is possible, it hit the emergency trigger on Hulkenberg's the left of the roll hoop, which caused the car to shut down because it was basically the emergency stop button. Homie got done in by a piece of gravel. Like,
it's a meme, isn't it? Like a pebble has shut down an 18 million pound car.
Right. Like, you couldn't make that happen again if you tried. So, I mean, that's not really a car failure. That's an interesting one, but that's not really a car failure. Fernando Alonso had sudden battery failure. Kimi had obviously engine failure. Charles had power steering just disappear. Albon technically didn't DNF, but he was 11 laps down. He had some kind of technical issue. They pulled him into pits and then essentially finished the rest of his race as testing, but he finished 11 laps let down, so he still finished non-classified. Behrman had some kind of unspecified technical issue that, from what I've seen, has not been released as what has happened yet. And then you look at, Kimi had his. Last week, Lando had one. Before that, it was George. I think, what was before that? China? No, not China. China was... What's that?
Isn't that telling you something?
Oh, yeah. No, I agree. And then China, you had the double DNS because of engine failure and battery failure. How many... I looked it up. And unless I missed something, Mercedes has now had at least one power unit failure to cause a DNF or a DNS 4 out of 7 races. How? How do you?
These rigs aren't working.
How do you spend that much money and you've built a glorified lawn ornament?
No. It just says it all. Too many DNFs, too many unreliability issues, and it's great for audience purposes. It's great for streaming purposes and all that, but for the driver, frustrating. Because for me, I thought the 2 most unlucky people last night was one, Hulkenberg, and second, Alonso on his last appearance at Catalunya. What a way to go out!
Right,
a DNF.
Right.
That's just heart throwing. Because he's the only. I think he's the only Spanish driver on the grid. I think.
No. Sainz is Spanish.
Anyone else? Yep, sorry, my apologies. Yeah, so they're the only two, and I don't think even Signs even got into the points either. I don't think. I'm not
I'll
sure.
check real
I don't
quick.
think he did. I think he missed that.
While
I
you're
think he got
talking, I'll look.
P12.
I got it.
Look, what do you
You got
think,
it,
Max?
Quob.
Do you
Okay.
think that's just absolutely heart-throbbing, isn't it?
Yeah. Which
Alongside.
keep in mind, we do have another track on the calendar in Spain this year. So those in
Madrid.
Spain will still get to see their hometown favorites show up. So yeah, but like you said, this is the last time not Hulkenberg, golly. Alonso had made a comment in the press, this will probably be the last time he runs Catalonia. Runs Barcelona because
it will be the last time.
He's not.
It's done.
I think they're keeping it in the rotation. It's just going to be like 6 years from now, they might run Barcelona again. And by that time, he's not expecting to still be in Formula One.
No. I don't think they should never have got rid of it. I think it's madness. Absolute madness.
Yeah, I
want to
think
get rid of
there's
track,
other tracks they could get rid of.
Iconic.
Like,
just that, yeah, I don't understand it. It's had big accidents in that turn one. It's such a smooth track to drive. They changed the rotation. I did like the old track layout in Sector 3 when you had the real slow left-hander and right-hander. That really brought that brought some real good racing because you come straight around the corner and then you had to slow right down for the hairpin, basically. Not the hairpin, the left and the right-hander. The really small one.
Yep.
Before the pit lane.
Yep.
Yeah, I love that layout, but then they've decided to bring in a faster layout as well, and then change out the layout in Sector 3 as well. So, yeah, I don't agree. I think people keep wanting to get rid of historical tracks is ridiculous. That's what makes Formula One.
I agree to a certain degree. I think at the same time, you do have to mix it up at some point, at least a little bit.
Mix it up near the end. When you're starting to build tracks like South Africa, for instance, which is looking to be on the calendar. You've got the new Jeddah circuit.
I cannot wait for Jeddah to be off the calendar and to have the new track on the calendor.
That's a Mario Kart track.
Hey, yeah, that looks like it's going to be a good track.
Yeah, where's Hockenheim? Where's I don't understand it. Like they're bringing in these tracks. Mad Ring, yeah, looks good. Does look like Miami. To be honest with you, looks very, very similar to Miami. But getting rid of Catalonia, man, no.
If they took Miami off the calendar, it would not hurt my feelings. I cannot stand that track.
Oh,
that's a great track.
Now I'm looking at the hairpin that's going to be at the new Jeddah track. It's 230 feet off the ground.
Don't miss your breaking point.
Gotta be a health and safety issue.
That wall is gonna have to be.
I don't even know how that's got consent. I don't even know how that's got consent to build that, or even be in the F5. I don't. Yeah.
Imagine how stiff that wall has to be.
There's got to be like 100+ feet from the wall to
the drop off,
or from the track to the wall. Yeah.
Oh, they probably have some kind of net.
Oh yeah, they're gonna have a fence. They're gonna have a net. There's
about 300-foot net.
Just don't miss your
breaking
point.
It's like near enough in the sky, isn't it? The track. He's right. He's like, when you used to play Sonic Hedgehog and you used to go onto that dome with all the rings and you used to run around that dome, catch all the rings and run. It's like that, but 200 foot up.
It's giving you incentive not to miss your breaking point.
I don't get it. Just stick with what you've got, man. Like, really? It's all money, man. It's all money. I don't know. I
still think it'll be better than Jeddah that we have right now. Can't stand that track.
Nah, Jeddah's awesome. Jeddah's awesome.
I like Jeddah.
Watch. You don't like Jeddah?
No, I do.
I don't.
Well, sounds like a skill issue.
Yeah, no opinion there.
I don't know. I've just never really cared for it. I just never.
We're taking over, Maximus. We're taking over. This is not a podcast.
But back to the stuff from today. I think we kind of already touched on this, and it was something that I wanted to bring up. Is it just me, or does Lewis seem extremely happy? And this is like what he wanted to be last year and what everybody expected him to be last year. And now all the haters that said, oh, you should have never got Lewis and you should have kept Sainz, you can go crawl back in your hole now. Because Lewis is looking Fantastic.
Oh, Colin, you love him too much.
No. Were you about to say something, Alan?
I'd
It's
say the
one
biggest
race.
difference is
It's like, did you not agree, Maximus? It's one race. Like, do not swing from the chandeliers, man. Yes, he's
I
doing
can't.
well.
I'm
But
not
it's
saying
one
just this one
race.
race. I'm saying he took second place at Monaco. He's been on the podium more times this season than he's not been this season.
Yeah, because the person in bloody second DNF'd.
That's not the point.
He got the good stuff.
Okay, so Australia, he
I-
was fighting for the podium. China, he was right there. Actually, he may have got the podium in China. Then we had 2 weeks off. After that, what track was next? I can't even remember at this point. It's just this season compared to last season, Lewis
He's
looks like a different
consistent.
driver.
Yeah, definitely. He's consistent.
Which is something Sainz isn't.
He is.
Yeah.
He is with. He is with Kim Kardashian. So I'd be quite happy if I was.
Yeah, so he went.
I had to go
he
home
went
for that. You know.
fourth,
So,
third. Where is he? Fourth, third, sixth. Bahrain and Jeddah were Miami. He went sixth. Canada, he went second. Monaco, he went second. Then he won Barcelona.
See, he's had more times on the podium than he's had off the podium this season, which is a lot better than last year.
oh yeah. But he did go into this new season refreshed. You know.
Yeah, I agree.
If you looked at him last season, you thought that he was going to retire and probably sell everything because he was so
He was so
in his
upset.
interview. You know.
But I
that's
think
the worst interview I've ever seen.
the major difference is that one, this is a car that he's actually building. Like he didn't just inherit a car. And
Agreed.
two, Ferrari's actually listening to him.
And 3, we're not in the ground effect era anymore.
That also.
And four that he's had the time to work with Ferrari, right?
Yeah.
Because he's had a I don't know, he got a season under his belt, didn't he? With them already, right?
He's
6
got a
is
season
new
with the
car,
crew now.
and seven, his partner.
Oh,
You
his
still
engineer.
focused on that?
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Oh
bit
my
of, bit of,
gosh.
sabotage there. Bit of sabotage there with the towel last week, hey. But what I'm saying is that there's so many factors of why he's performing. Do you know what I mean?
I
And
agree.
yes,
I'm just saying. So many people
But
last
you need
year wanted to jump down his throat and say that Sainz should have stayed. They should have never picked up Lewis. And Lewis looks incredibly in great form this year. Like
but in that season, plural, that season, yeah, I would have had Sainz over of Hamilton. Now, because it's new regulations, the Williams is overweight, like Big Max. You've got a Ferrari, which is a fast car. They look like they've got their car fixed correctly. Compared to obviously following seasons with the new regs, it looks like Mercedes and them are an advantage. Everyone else, I think it was probably about 9 other teams in that last meeting that they had while we had that 6-week break that wanted to change everything up. But I think Mercedes and Ferrari are probably the only ones that put petition against it because they're the only ones that are performing. They're the only ones that have taken the regs on board and they've developed the car probably 2 years prior. Everyone else is a backseat passenger at the moment. But it's one race. If he did this next week and then Leclerc wins, are we all going to be praising Leclerc and saying, "Oh, Charles has got a chance now"? Do you know what I mean?
Yes.
Things can change very quickly.
Hey, I am a
And now he's
Charles
DNF.
Leclerc fan. You think I'm going crazy with Lewis right now? You should see me if
No.
Charles wins a race.
What I'm saying is a lot of people want Charles to win a title, right?
I
A lot
want
of
it
people
so
want
bad.
Russell to win a title. Russell is the favourite to win a title this year.
It ain't
Before
happening.
F1 even started, he was the favourite, right? Antonelli has outdone Russell so far, but there's been issues with Russell's car. Canada was not his fault, but you could then say the same next week that, say, for instance, Russell has a poor qualifying, Charles wins the race, Lewis Hamilton DNFs, and we're having the same conversation next week. Oh, has Charles now got an opportunity? It's all unbalanced at the moment because no one thought Antonelli was going to retire with 4 laps to go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Antonelli was quicker than Russell. You could see that. You could see that when he was behind him, He already said to his engineer, I've got more pace, right? He was pushing on those hards. He pulled in Russell very, very quick, right? But then all of a sudden he came to a stopping gap because Russell was fighting with him.
That kind of, I guess, segues into the next thought I had. And I don't mean to cut you off, but like, do you think George is counting his lucky stars that Kimi DNF so that he could get on the podium or continue in second place? Or do you think at the end of the day he's just like in his own head because he still can't beat Kimi?
Yeah, at the moment, Russell is not performing as well as Kimi. Kimi is the quicker car, and you can see it. You saw it in Spain, you saw it in Monaco, and you even saw it in Canada.
Right.
How quick was Kimi up Russell's ass in Canada? And the only reason he didn't is because probably a little bit of lack of experience. Too hot-headed, too quick to get the move done, and he made the mistakes, right? Which then probably cost him a bit of damage. So it's going to take Kimi a bit of time by being controlled by Toto to say, hey, bide your time, then look for the maneuver. Bono, great engineer. He's been doing it for a long, long time. He's engineered one of the greatest, and obviously in Hamilton, so he knows his stuff. Antonelli is a young lad who is on cloud 9 because he's the youngest probably driver of leading a championship.
He is.
But the experience comes into that. Russell is a very, very experienced driver. He knows a lot about the car. He knows a lot about F1, you know. I'm not a big fan of Russell. I never have been, ever since Paul Ricciardo with Perez. That's just put a ringer on it for me. But what I'm saying is
I've never been a big fan.
That's going to take into account, you know, experience over rookie, you know, and I think that's where he could come unstuck a little bit. And I think a lot of people, from what I'm hearing from media, social media, and everything, they wanted Antonelli to come down a pedal too, because he was getting a little bit arrogant, and all of a sudden he's had a DNF. Right, you're not unstoppable.
Yeah,
the car is not, you know, and that'll do him some good, and he'll learn from it. Obviously, hopefully, he doesn't take Max out again in Austria like he did last season. But yeah, you know, I think it's swinging roundabouts. I don't know if you agree, guys. I just do. I think it's swinging roundabouts. I think it's up and down at the moment. I think there's so much uncertainty about these new cars, these new regs, performance issues, everything, you know. And I think these upgrades that these cars get each week, each race, you're going to see a change every time. If Mercedes have an upgrade next week, they'll be the quicker car. But they are the quicker car at the moment because even Ferrari had upgrades at Miami. Mercedes still won the race. So if Mercedes get upgrades, watch out, because they are a quicker car, with or without upgrades. And that is fact.
I mean, yeah.
Without upgrades, I don't think so.
Drop.
With upgrades, maybe. I don't think so without the upgrades, because they didn't have the upgrades today, and what happened? I know it's only one race.
But what happened to Antonelli?
But what's that got to do with anything? He won't catch Lewis either.
Right, look at it this way, right? If Antonelli gets past Russell, does Hamilton win the race?
I mean, that's fair, because I think it was clear he had more pace than Russell.
I don't think he does. I think Hamilton finishes P2 and Russell finishes...
No, that's what I'm saying. I think Kimi clearly had more pace than Russell.
Yep, I think he would have pulled the gap.
And it's possible.
And then when the VSC came, Antonelli would have then had the gap to pit, would have been on fresh tyres, and Hamilton would have probably got P2 and Russell would have got P3. And that's how it would have finished. Because you could see Antonelli had the pace on Russell coming down the main straight. And Russell, you know, they had that little bit of a battle, and that pulled Hamilton pulled in 2.5 seconds just by them pissing around with that little battle that they had. 2.5 seconds.
Well, I'll also
and that
put
was it. That was enough.
I'll put it like this. Somebody in the Discord asked, who was my top 5 disliked drivers? And I went 1, George Russell. 2, George Russell. 3, George Russell. I can't stand George.
Wow.
Mine is Lance Stroll. Lance Stroll.
But like,
get rid of that fucking driver off the fucking grid.
Oh, hold on. If we're talking about
race.
I'm gonna lay on my top 5 right now, and everyone's gonna throw shade at me.
Alex
Alonso.
Go on.
What?
Let you go.
Did you just say Alonso?
Yeah, I said Alonso.
No.
I
Why?
fucking hate Alonso. Dude, he
He's
bitches
gonna retire,
every race.
So does every driver.
No, not like this man. Not like this man.
George
time
still
to
does more
hang
than he
up.
does.
It is.
It's time to hang it up.
It is.
I don't
Alonso
disagree.
needs
He does need to
hang up.
retire. He does need to retire. But my thing with George is he tries to play this sweet little innocent boy that does no wrong and can't do no wrong. But then you look at,
I
say,
hope my wife's not watching this.
to what?
I hope my wife's not watching this.
Tell
She
her to
fucking
watch it.
loves him. She's got merch on him and everything.
Tell her to watch
Jesus
this.
Christ.
You look
All I
at,
get is the tea celebration every fucking week.
but you look at back when Bottas was still with Williams, and I already know a lot of people are going to know where I'm going with this. They get in an accident that was George's fault. George gets out of the car, walks over, and punches Bottas in the head.
Imola.
Okay, he didn't punch him.
Imola.
He slapped
He
him.
slapped him. Whatever. He hit him in the head. Like,
Yeah, but I get.
that's his
But
personality.
it happens with every driver, though. That right. This
It
is
happens
where
to
my
George
wife
all the time.
thinks
But
she's like,
everybody wants to
this is
crucify
where-
Max for that same mentality, though.
That's true. But if this is where my wife came at it, she said all drivers have done it, and she actually showed me a TikTok of why drivers or some I can't think what it was, but it was a TikTok she showed me, and I was like, yeah, she's actually right. Anthony did it to Max, right? Then you had George done it to Perez. Perez has done it to Lawson. Max has done it to Lando.
But how many have
Charles
got out and actually
Hamilton have done it together.
How many?
They've all done it.
I'm not talking about the accident. I'm talking about the fact of let me get out of the car and walk over and slap you in the head. Like, how many have
they've all
actually
done
put
it.
hands
He's
on
done
each
it.
other?
Heaps of them.
Oh, fair
Heaps
enough.
of them.
But my thing is with
You know,
George is he
and-
tries to. It's not the fact that he's done that, because when Max was doing that, it was very clear that he was not sorry for it. He didn't act like he was something he wasn't. George wants to act like something he's not. I'm this innocent person that does no wrong, and then I'm going to do the same thing I'm complaining about everybody else doing.
I think he's learned a lot, though. I think
That's
he's
why I
learned a
don't
lot
like
since he
George.
left Williams. I'm actually on the fence now because I didn't like him. I thought he was a big four-headed prick. You know,
He is. He still is.
Now, I think he's got a lot of experience. I think that's why Toto took him. And he had upcoming potential, and that's why Toto took him from Williams. You could see that. You could see that he was the better driver in the Williams, and he was scoring points in the car, you know. And then when he then had the chance at Bahrain, and he would have won the race if he didn't have the wrong tyres on, which was a Mercedes issue, you know. So that showed that this guy is capable of a championship. This guy is capable of winning races. They took
I'm
him
not
on.
saying
But
he's not a capable driver. I'm just saying his personality sucks. And him as a person, he wants to sit here like last year. He wants to say that Max is borderline dangerous with his attitude and his temper. But then at Canada, he's over here throwing his headrest in the middle of the daggone track.
Okay, hold on. No,
Not the middle,
I don't
not
know
the
if people
middle,
Use that
but-
comparison. He was leading the race for 30 plus laps, and then the fucking car gives out on him. You're gonna be angry, especially
I agree.
if
I
you're
don't doubt
trying to
that.
fight for a title.
I don't have a problem with that.
Yeah,
It's the way he handles stuff. And it's the I'm going to point fingers at you for doing this and then just do the same exact crap. Like he tried to get Max a penalty on a cooldown lap and then does the same crap to other people.
He's a whinger. Don't get me wrong. The Paul Ricard incident with Perez, that really wound me up. You know.
I just don't like him.
Yeah. But yeah, my five are Lance Stroll, and Lance Stroll. And Lance Stroll.
Alonso,
Yeah,
just retire, man.
Yeah, he does.
I do agree with you, Maximus. I think he does need to retire, but I think it would have been better if he retired before the problems with Aston Martin. See, they would have gone out with actually some, some grace. At the moment, like Aston Martin have basically forced Alonso into retirement.
But that's the thing is now Alpine wants to come pick him up.
His stint at Aston Martin has aged him like 15 plus years.
Oh, I agree. But like now Alpine's like maybe we should go snag Alonso. Briatore wants Alonso.
UBA should get Lance Stroll as a teammate, though.
I mean, that's fair.
I'd put 30 years on if I had him as my teammate.
Could you imagine where Alpine ends up at if you have Gasly and Alonso on the same team together? Is that not an interesting combination?
It is, but we're going to see Alonso probably back again for one more year, and we're probably going to see Lance Stroll sign a new contract for 5 years.
I low key hope Alpine actually gets him because I think it'd be interesting. Swap Fernando Alonso with Franco Colapinto.
God no, get Colapinto out of there too.
Colapinto's not that bad.
We should swap.
They don't call him Crashapinto for nothing.
Who agrees we should swap we should swap Lance Stroll for a dustbin?
That's fair.
Fair enough.
That's fair.
Might do better. Like,
it's shocking. He can't drive, but the only reason he's there is because Daddy's got money.
I disagree
and
with
it's
that.
just like
he does have podiums on wins,
bro. Come on.
There was a time where Lance Stroll looked like he had some potential.
He has had some podiums in his career, and he does have a win. He has a win, and has a couple podiums.
That's true. You got to think about it. Yeah,
Can you tell me when that was?
He's got more podiums than Hülkenberg.
I'd have to go look. I don't know the stats for that off the top of my head. It was before it was Aston Martin.
Can you tell me when that was? When Lance Stroll won a race?
Alan's looking it up. I know it was a rain race, and there was a lot of DNFs.
No, he didn't win. He's gotten podiums.
Oh, he didn't win anything? I thought he did win it.
No.
He came close to winning then. But still, nonetheless, he has multiple podiums. So, like, he has potential. I don't think he wants to be there at this point. I think he's only there because his dad... It's like when you watch a kid in Little League Baseball, his dad's, like, living through him and, like, forcing their kid to play ball. And this is Lawrence, like, I can't race, so I'm going to make you race kind of deal. I feel like that might be going on.
Oh, he got pole position once.
That's what it was. He got pole. So, like, he has the talent. He just doesn't seem like he cares to be there.
Not anymore.
Yeah, and that's what I'm saying. Like, now, I just don't... I feel like he's just there to collect a paycheck that he doesn't need because his daddy can just write the check for him anyways. But, you know, we went way off the deep end. I don't know. I hope that... What's next? What's next on the calendar? I'd have to go look. Because I'm drawing a complete blank. Oh, yeah, we already said Austria. Austria's next. Do y'all think George can beat Kimi at Austria? Or do you think this is going to be the Kimi show again?
I think it's going to be Kimi. Kimi just seems to have more pace in general with the new car.
I agree with that. Yeah, no, I agree. You got to watch out for Red Bull. I think what it's going to come down to is I think it's going to be between Max and Kimi. But I'm saying if it was just solely George and Kimi on the track, I think Kimi beats George.
Do you know what? I'm gonna throw a spanner because I've got to go. I've got a meeting. I think we haven't seen the best of Hadjar.
Oh, I agree with that. I do agree with that, and I think Monaco gave a glimpse of that because he ended up on the fighting for that podium.
Yeah, I think I think. Wait, how many rounds are we in? 11? 6? 8?
I think
8 rounds.
8 now. Tell me, this season feels like it's been forever long already, and we're only like 8 races in.
It's because of that long ass break between.
Oh, I know.
There's so many races to go, and we have seen so many changes. Right,
yeah.
We have seen the pure dominance of, like you said, Antonelli winning 5. We thought we saw Russell. Russell's had issues. Leclerc's had issues. Hamilton's won a race, right? Then we've seen Alpine have been very, very strong, very consistent every week. Audi just missing out. VCARB have been very good. I think Lennard and Lawson are a great pair. I think they're consistently going to score you points. The Williams need to sort their issues out. Aston Martin need to sort their issues out. Haas need to change teammates because it's just not going to work. I think they're going to have problems.
Get rid of
season.
Ocon.
Berman's not happy. So I think it's just so many more things to happen. Cadillac will score point, I think, eventually. I don't know if that'll be the last race or what, but they look
It'll
like
be-
they're just in there for
It'll be an
extra
accident.
cars at the moment.
Be Brazil
Well, I
when
think
it
they
Yeah,
will.
no,
happens.
I think they will.
it'll be 100% Perez that pulls the points.
It'll be like Brazil pouring down rain.
That's my take. That's my take on it, guys. It's been a pleasure as always, Maximus. Lovely to meet you. And yeah, that's my part.
Well, have a nice rest of your day, SJ.
Cheers, man. Look forward to being back next week, and we can talk about how Hamilton DNF'd.
Well, we won't talk about that next week because there's no race next week.
It's Austria.
No,
Isn't
that's
it?
No,
July
that's the week
3rd.
after.
Or yeah, the week after. That's
Oh, we got another bloody break.
June 26th
God.
is that race.
All good. All right. Well, take care, guys. Have a good week, and we'll talk soon.
Have a good one.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I think Austria will be a good race. I think that we will find out about the ADUO before then, because by then the FIA will have time to have reviewed everything. And we can find out if Red Bull genuinely is the fastest car or if it's a Mercedes. Either way, Ferrari's getting engine upgrades. So they can go ahead and start working on these.
I think when it comes to the ADUO,
It's ADUO.
yeah, ADUO, yeah. Just because you have the strongest or fastest engine doesn't mean you have the fastest car.
No, I agree.
Because these cars are way more than just their engines.
I agree. But what I mean is, it's been clear that Ferrari is cornering better than any other car on the track. If you give them
100%.
if you give them some kind of straight line speed, which they would finally get possibly with an engine upgrade, and you get a more well-rounded car, what happens next? That's what I'm getting at.
Now, on that note, so I've seen people talking about how this car is more suited for Lewis. But Charles has gone on interviews to say that the upgrades and the direction of the car are working. Like, he can feel it working.
He
and
looked
it's working
really
well.
good in qualifying.
It's him that is failing right now.
He looked really good in Barcelona in Q3 until that weird sudden snap that I can't.
It was
understand.
it was a torque. It was the car giving him more power than he was expecting.
Oh, so it over torqued.
Yeah, it was a torque surge.
I gotcha. So I mean, like outside of that, he was in P3 provisionally, and then slung it off the track into a wall. In Monaco, he looked really good until the brakes decided to stop working. So, just because he's DNF'd, or just because he's wrecked, people want to say, well, Charles can't handle the car, Charles can't do this, Charles can't do that, it's all Lewis now. Charles doesn't look bad. Let's not forget, he made up 4 positions today.
Yeah, it's recency bias.
Yeah.
And that's all it is.
And it's just really frustrating because Charles is one of the better drivers on the track. And anybody that denies that, you are not watching these races, you're watching highlights.
Yeah.
And see, oh, he wrecked. Okay, yes, he wrecked, but what caused the wreck? You know, like I said, Monaco, it wasn't as simple as, oh, he just missed his braking point and went into the wall. No, his brakes stopped working.
Especially right now, with them being brand new cars.
Yeah.
You've got to give these guys like some room for error because they're all learning new cars, and the teams are having to work around the clock to figure these cars out and make sure everything works correctly.
That's the other big thing people aren't talking about. It's not just the driver. You have mechanics working on these cars. They have to figure that out as well. You have engineers designing these cars. And if you've never had to deal with an engineer, count yourself lucky. Myself being a welder, we get blueprints from these engineers and go do this. And you go and build it. And you're like, this makes no sense. This is terrible. Do it this way instead. I'm sure they're not immune to that. They may have stuff that goes, oh, let's do this as an engineer, and it is not good. And then you have to fix it. And people just think, oh, it's only the driver. There's a whole factory that is involved in this.
Yep.
That's like saying Max is a bad driver because he was nowhere to be found in Barcelona today. You've lost your mind. Or try to say, oh, he should retire. He's washed. Did you hit your head? Like, no.
Yeah, like this idea that like a driver has all of a sudden lost their skill.
Overnight in the span of less than 12 months. Yeah, no, it's so frustrating. The toxicity in F1 is getting annoying at this point because it's just no logic involved. I just want to hate on somebody at this point.
Yeah.
But we're going to go ahead and close out. Do you have any other thoughts for the night? Anything else you want to talk about?
Alex had to pit because the F1 camera fell off.
Is that what it was?
Yeah.
That's funny. That's actually really funny. Also, while I got you on here, what did I say earlier this year? That Sainz would beat Albon this year? And he said, oh no, that won't happen. What's happening?
Okay, hold on. It's round 8. Relax, okay?
That's not the point.
See, hang on.
I also said Kimmy's going to win this championship. And y'all said, no, George has this.
Yeah, well, is he now?
Okay, he had one race. Who's been winning for the majority of this?
Hey, hold on. Sainz is winning by 1 point. Let's not act like he's absolutely stomping on Albon.
He's been dog walking him in qualifying.
Brother,
He
1 point is not dog walking.
Okay, I'm talking. Okay, you realize there's only 10 positions that score points, right? And there's 12 that don't, and they're in a toaster oven for a car. He's still beating him head to head each week. Just saying. If you go look at race results, Carlos Sainz is beating Alex Albon head to head. If you were to take everybody else off the track, he's consistently beating Albon. Just saying. You're looking it up, aren't you?
No. No, not the head to head. Let me see. Sweet.
This could be our thing to last thing for the night, since it's gone a little while over. No, you're quick to look this up and defend your boy. Sainz is a better driver.
No, I want to see the actual numbers.
Can you at least admit at this point, at least at this moment, Sainz is the better driver?
Yeah, but like, yeah. So let's see. Yeah, so Sainz is up 3. Yeah, it's 2-3.
Oh, is that okay? Yeah. How is it only 2-3? That'd be 5 races. We're 8 rounds in.
No, 7.
7. Well, either way, that's only 5 if it's 2-3.
That's 2-5. My bad. 5-2. English.
I was like,
Numbers aren't my strong point.
that math don't make sense. But with that being said, we'll continue to track that, see how that goes throughout the rest of the season.
We'll come back at the end of the year.
Have that fun conversation. But thank you all for tuning in and watching and enjoying this fun shenanigans that we have on a weekly basis, and continue to check us out if you're enjoying this. We are live every single Sunday at 8:30 p.m. Eastern Time on Twitch, and our YouTube video. The video goes up on YouTube every single Monday at 12 o'clock Eastern Time. You can catch shorts on TikTok and YouTube Shorts, and you can catch just random stuff happening on Twitter, whether it's retweets or memes or just fun. But with that being said, thank you all again for coming. Hope you all had a good time. We'll see y'all next week.